All right, welcome back to the second part of Real Speaks. We had to break this one up again into two different parts because we know that it's kind of hard to sit through a 2-hour-long video, and this one just kind of ran over. But we've got some really important stuff to talk about. So in this second part, we're going to really get into technology and Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blood, and DNA, and the Rephaim returning. Yeah. Welcome back to the show, and please, once again, make sure you listen to the first part because we covered a lot in that one as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving into our next segment, the return of the Rephaim.
All right.
And Bitcoin.
Yeah, what's the connection?
What's the connection? So, what's the Rephaim?
Rephaim. So these were, going by not only the biblical account but also in historical texts around the world, these were the giants of renown that once existed on the planet.
I mean, the Nephilim were part of them, but the Rephaim was like another segment. There were many different kinds of giants, right?
There are many different kinds of giants. The Rephaim were a specific tribe of giants that were within the land of Canaan, as described in the Hebrew texts.
And we're being told that these are actually vampiric.
Yes, that was one of their attributes. The Rephaim were a tribe of giants, and the story of these giants were the offspring of fallen angels mating with women.
So here is from BibleHub.com. The Rephaim is used to comprehend all of the gigantic races of the Canaanites, of whom there were several families. There were Rephaim beyond Jordan in the time of Abraham, and some in the time of Moses, and it goes on and on. But here's an interesting site. We love Steve Quayle and some of his works, and this is a great site called Genesis 6 Giants. And here you have all of his pictures and all of his research and study about the giant bones that they've been finding. And I thought I just wanted to pull up a picture so we can get kind of a mental visual of what the Rephaim must look like as far as giants. I tried to find the ones with the really pointy teeth because I think they're actually finding some giant skeletons that have sharpened fangs because they're all very cannibalistic.
Yeah, that's right.
These giants from back then. So when we say return of the Rephaim, you've got some interesting stories that you found that have been happening because it's all about blood, right?
It's all about the blood. Also, the Rephaim, these particular giants were known for their bloodlust. And that they had rituals involving human sacrifice and the consumption of human blood through various means and methods.
Okay.
And so what we're talking about what we mean is that there is technology that we take for granted that is on the cutting edge of science that deals with two things, blood and the DNA. Right? So there are some new articles that we're going to talk about, first dealing with the blood and the consumption of blood, and blood being seen as an elixir, especially blood consumed that is from a younger person or a child. But in this case, it's from a teen. So there's an article that came out that's on CNBC talking about a startup company that was offering $8,000 from 100 customers who paid $8,000 for a transfusion of young blood. Now, this is a company called Ambrosia. Okay? Now, although the scientific research is far from being definitive, is what the article opens up as, basically, Ambrosia was charging $8,000 for blood transfusion from young people, and this was 100 people who signed up to receive an infusion. And this was announced at the Code Conference by the founder of Ambrosia, Dr. Jesse K, right? So anyone over the age of 35 could become an Ambrosia customer. But the most early adopters tended to be of retirement age. So these are old people who paid into this particular program. Now, there are all kinds of people who signed up, including some technologists. Now, the donated blood typically came from teenagers, although anyone under the age of 25 was eligible. The company buys its supply of blood from banks and also sells the blood to pharmaceutical companies. So this is interesting. I mean, basically.
Oh man.
Well, the thing here is that everyone knows that there's been some kind of black market blood trade going on, right? With young people, children, going to the Satanism and all that stuff. But this company actually is using it to market this kind of.
They're capitalizing on it.
They're capitalizing on it, making it more of an open thing that this is the future.
Yeah.
There's going to be younger people. If you fit the age and the requirements, you can give your blood. Give your blood to I guess, aging population that would like to consume and drink blood because they believe that it revitalizes them, that it gives them strength, that it heals them of their ailments. Basically, this is a Silicon Valley startup, of which some investors of this company are also its customers. So this is an example of the technology and the whole thing with the blood and turning it into a marketable item that tech companies are using as a product. This is going to go somewhere, but so we had the previous article talking about using blood as an elixir. Okay, we got the technology overlay, but basically this is no different than what's been done in blood practices going back to ancient times. Now, I have to talk about cryptocurrency because this is actually going somewhere. Cryptocurrency, it's the future. A lot of banks, a lot of finances and money from the finance industry around the world are putting money into cryptocurrency, specifically in the blockchain. And there are several things that makes a good cryptocurrency, okay? One of them is solid encryption, and this is the thing that I'm going to tie into the following article after this. Cryptocurrencies are being advertised as being secure over a network, any kind of network online, so that it's difficult for third parties to hack into a specific transaction fast enough or in such a time so that it becomes beneficial. Okay, so solid encryption is one, and I mean, we're talking to 256-bit, 1028-bit encryption. So encryption basically is just a way of securing information so that a third party can't read it and hack into it. Okay. Another attribute of good cryptocurrency is its efficiency in doing transactions. How fast can you send money from point A to point B or complete a transaction is becoming very important, especially when it comes to the market, to markets and things like that. Blockchain technology, any crypto coin, whether it's Litecoin, Bitcoin, or any other cryptocurrency, uses the blockchain technology. But not just cryptocurrencies, also banks, colleges, universities, other trade platforms are looking at blockchain technology as a platform to handle transactions, but not just with money, but also with trade and just sending information because of its architecture and the programming. And then finally, low energy mining. If you're not familiar with cryptocurrencies, basically a set of computers in a decentralized network are working through algorithms to generate the next coin, the next Bitcoin, the next Litecoin. And normally this cryptocurrency is set at some predetermined amount so that only so much can be mined. The more that's mined, the harder it is to complete the next algorithm to mine the next coin. But in order to do that, these computers have to do these calculations on this decentralized network, and that requires energy. Now, to get to the next Bitcoin, at this point, you need huge server farms, and there's a competition between miners around the world to generate that next Bitcoin. You need ever stronger, more powerful server farms now, where in the beginning of the Bitcoin, to make one Bitcoin, you could do it on your computer back in 2008. But now you need server farms. That is a lot of electricity. That is a lot of kilowatt hours to generate. So now it's basically in the realm of multi-millionaires to mine the next Bitcoin. So for the next cryptocurrency coin, people are looking at how much energy do I need to consume to create or mine a coin if I wish to be a miner. Okay? So all of these play into the coin as far as what industry wants to use the coin for, whether it's, again, Litecoin, Bitcoin, what have you. This is very important because this is the type of thing that this is a very competitive environment. A lot of cryptocurrencies, a lot of coins are going to die in the evolution of those four things. Okay? And also, because this technology is being adopted around the world by all the major institutions, a lot of people, investors especially, are predicting that cryptocurrencies are going to go up in value. And this is where the scams come in.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of people, even those, like I follow this stuff, but I'm not necessarily an expert. I'm not programming a cryptocurrency or anything like that, but I follow it because it is very important to know this stuff, especially if you wish to invest in any of this. It is almost a form of gambling. There are a lot of people who have some money who want to buy a Bitcoin, for example, but they're not sure how to get it. There's a lot of information on how to participate in it, but also there's a lot of scams online on how to get more Bitcoins and so forth.
Yeah, buy a Bitcoin, give us your Bitcoin, we'll put it into our Bitcoin pot. Yes. And make more Bitcoin out of it, and then you'll get like payouts or like something like dividends, but it's like
like a join a pool of other people like yourself who put half a Bitcoin in, and you're guaranteed in 2 months to double your Bitcoin.
Right.
Right. So online community is rife with these scams. Okay.
And it's unfortunate because
yes.
and we know some people that were involved in them too, and they did make some money. But then what happens is with these scams is they set up like a carnival, right?
Yes.
Like a cyber cryptocurrency carnival. They set up, they bring in all the customers, they get everybody to bring in their Bitcoin, and then they tear down the joint, which is what it's a carnival term, right?
Right.
Meaning they pack up and they disappear.
They disappear.
And they fold very, very quickly.
Yes.
And they basically take everybody's Bitcoin with them.
That's right. So we have this article here. We'll leave the link in the show. But basically this article is going through some of the common scams that are out there if you are someone who's wishing to participate in Bitcoin as one of the cryptocurrencies. One is called malware downloads. Okay, the first thing about wanting to have a cryptocurrency is you have something called a digital wallet. Basically, this is an application that you can download on your computer or on your phone. And you can even get a printer that can generate them on paper. And basically, this application generates what is called a wallet, a secure space that is encrypted. That when someone gives you a Bitcoin, it goes in there. Okay. Now, there are a lot of established companies out there that have a history of creating these wallets so that you can have your Bitcoin stored there. All right. But what has happened recently is that there are new companies that have come along that have promised for you to download their application to store your Bitcoin, and actually within the software is a back door that actually takes the Bitcoin from the wallet that you bought from them. Okay, so what we're actually seeing instead is that these companies that they offer digital wallets for you to download as an application onto your computer actually have software that has backdoors in it, so that once you've downloaded this and put your Bitcoin in it, the backdoor allows these companies to take your Bitcoin. So that is one heist. It's about malware downloads. Next one is Bitcoin phishing impersonators. And basically, these are companies that claim to have a brand that deal with Bitcoin, buying or selling Bitcoin. So you start to believe in them and you trust in them. Okay? And once they establish that trust with you, you have something in Bitcoin called a private key. Now, this private key is normally in your wallet. You don't give it to anyone. Your private key is like the keys to your house or or it's like your purse that you hold on to with a button and the zip and all that in your possession.
Mm-hmm.
So giving away your private key is like giving your purse to somebody.
Right. Okay.
Okay? And so they establish trust with you, you believe them, and then they say, right, so we want to do a service for you, but in order to do the service, we want your private key so we can search our network to see if, what have you.
Okay.
As soon as you give them the private key, that's it. They have access to your digital wallet, and they can hack and take your Bitcoin. Another one is called Bitcoin flipping scams, and this is what we were talking about earlier, where they say, how would you like to double or quadruple your Bitcoin within 1 month?
Yeah, these scams could be an offer to instantly exchange Bitcoin for money after paying an initial startup fee or a promise to double your initial investment overnight.
And so, again, they say, okay, so there's a pool of you. We now that you know how you can trust us, that you'll double your Bitcoin, so we just need a small investment of 0.2 of a Bitcoin. You know, and a bunch of people gives a fraction of a Bitcoin. They've made a ton of money and they disappear. Poof, you've never seen them again. The Bitcoin pyramid scheme is more of a complicated version of that, where they might actually have yielded some. They'll take the Bitcoin, they'll invest it in something. They'll be transparent about what they've invested, or may not be, in what they've invested in with your Bitcoin. Again, a pool of people, they invested in a particular thing. That investment makes more money at the end of it, and they promise everyone who's invested in this that they're going to get something out of it. But with this pyramid scheme, they try to get the people who invested initially to get more people to join. Get your friends, get your family to join our investment scheme, so you can earn more bits. So it's like the flipping scam, but it's with the pyramid scheme on top. Okay. And so basically, this article goes into that. There's ways to protect yourself. Just don't fall for the scams. You have to know they exist. And just hold those private keys to your Bitcoin more secure. But also just read up on Bitcoin if you are interested in it. So basically, the reason why we had to cover that with the Bitcoin scams and a little introduction to cryptocurrency is because clearly everything's going digital. It's a virtual environment. At the end of the day, we're looking at ones and zeros, okay?
Yeah.
Money used to be something solid, something that you can hold that didn't perish over time, you know, like gold and silver. And coins that were based on that, and they have cash, which are promissory notes, the promise to pay. These are notes, pieces of paper that people can print out if you're an elite, like Monopoly money. Okay.
Yep.
Now we've gone into the digital realm, where ones and zeros are being created, are being manipulated by decentralized networks. Okay, and people have to participate in the program. Recently, in the past several weeks, there have been fluctuations in the cost of cryptocurrencies. Whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin, they fluctuated in price. And now, despite all of that, and whether there's manipulation going on or not, what is the end result of that? The prices over the longer trend still are going up in value, which tells me that I believe there is an agenda. There are interests that have invested enough in the software and what it can do in the general global infrastructure that at least if not the coins themselves, whether it's Litecoin, Ethereum, what have you, the programming, the software underpinning it, the blockchain programming is going to leapfrog this technology forward.
Is it also evidence of the loss of faith in printed currencies and the dollar?
Yes. Yes, I believe so. I think that people want to invest in something that is relatively stable that will earn them some money, if not in a short term, over some period of time that they're willing to deal with. So basically, people are looking for something to invest in. Digital currencies, it's easy, and when the system becomes more robust, you'll be able to buy things. It's like a decentralized version of PayPal. There's a lot of promise there with the next best thing and it being integrated in all kinds of different systems in the digital virtual world. However, with that comes the piracy, the manipulation, the scams, multi-million-dollar scams. And this is where it's kind of a wedge of you have to know what technology is out there and what's available. If any of the four factors that I just mentioned with cryptocurrency falls over, then it spells then that means it shows that there's a possible problem in it being corrupted.
And those four being?
Again, the solid encryption, good efficiency in its transactions, the blockchain technology, and its low energy mining cost. Okay. Now, what I'm going to look at specifically tonight for this episode of Real Speaks is the solid encryption. All right. So this takes us up to the next article, because up to this point, encryption is done through algorithms of the software on computers that are made of silicon. Okay, so with solid encryption for cryptocurrencies, rely on strong equations whose solutions are the chances of getting the solution, or meaning your private key, is so vast that it would take a long time for extremely powerful computers made from silicon to be able to crack that particular transaction. But we're looking at a network in the market that use billions of transactions a second. Okay, so what if there was a technology out there that can crack through the encryption that were limited by basically the algorithms of silicon computers? Now enter what we have here. Self-replicating DNA computers are set to change everything. So basically, if you read through this article, it's talking about how, in this particular article, how DNA computers can basically create more storage as it replicates. As the DNA strand replicates itself, it basically creates its own memory. Now, here's the beautiful thing about DNA computing also. If you look at the technology on how DNA computing works, normally when you have a computer and it's set to solve an equation, or a well-known algorithm is, if you have a maze, and that computer program made of silicon that we all use right now, silicon chips, has to solve a problem to navigate through the maze. It has to choose to go either left or go right, or 1 or 0, one or the other. And it has to, based on that, do that for every single turn of the maze. So it can only take one particular route. That's one computer. However, with DNA, it can replicate itself into another strand, so you have two, and both of those DNA strands can take both paths at the same time. One goes left, one goes right. So that's the power of DNA. DNA computing. In theory, if you have enough DNA strands that have replicated themselves, they can solve complex problems simultaneously, as opposed to 1 and a 0. And that's what makes it powerful. Now, if you extend that logic to encryption, what that means is a DNA computer, in theory, can crack encryption with that kind of algorithm. The type of thing that would take a computer made of silicon chips years to crack. DNA computing, in theory, could do it much more quickly. Now, that's with computing, but also DNA computers can store large amounts of information in its DNA strand. Okay, so that's why scientists are looking at DNA computing as the future, because it's a whole completely different science. Basically, you have the 4 building blocks of DNA, which I think is A, G, T, C.
Okay. Right.
These are the base building blocks, and from these, you create the DNA strand, and the strand creates proteins. These proteins, the A, G, T, and C, can be assigned 1 or 0. So let's say, if two of the 4 are assigned to 1 and the other 2 are assigned to 0, you can use that now as a basis for writing programs. And this is where they are right now.
So are we talking about an organic computer?
You're basically talking about organic computer. Assigning information to DNA strands to function like a computer.
Synthetically. Trying to play God. Pretty much.
Because DNA is information.
Right. So God made the original DNA.
Exactly.
But now we're trying to replicate that synthetically to make organic computers, artificial intelligence.
Yes, exactly.
How does this link us back to the Rephaim.
So, from the biblical account, the problem that what happened during the fall or before the fall, or the way the fall happened, was the corruption of the fallen angels mating with the daughters of man. Okay, when that happened, it corrupted the DNA.
Inserting synthetic DNA.
Inserting DNA that is other than what was created.
Yes.
What created human beings. Okay. So it's like having this template, and then you go in there and you start cutting up the template and throwing your own stuff in there. So basically, this manipulation of DNA is as old as the Bible itself.
Okay, so this actually ties in perfectly, because in the biblical account, it actually says in Genesis 6:9, talking about Noah, that this is the generation, or this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. And there's a lot of studies out there, because they're saying perfect in his generations means, he was a very, very righteous man, right? But actually, that's been misinterpreted. What perfect in his generations actually means, now that we have a better understanding about DNA, is that Noah's bloodline was pure. At the time, we had all of these different creatures inserting their corrupted DNA into the daughters of man, and creating these abominations, these creatures, these Rephaim, and it was about, inserting DNA into other DNA that shouldn't be there. Whereas Noah's DNA was a pure line straight from the Creator that had not been corrupted yet. So that's what perfect in his generations actually means.
Right. Perfect, more like perfect in his genealogy. So basically, one of these computers made from DNA are capable of all these things. A massive storage capability. Basically, you read the article. It's ridiculous. It's almost like black holing all information from the internet, and you can fit it on your finger.
Oh my gosh!
It's huge amounts of possibilities. The article cites that one of the limitations, though, is the cost of writing information, ones and zeros to a DNA strand, is currently around $12,500 to do it. I guess that's kind of relative with regard to inflation and QE, but the scientists who are doing this research want to get it as kind of like the Human Genome Project, how it was expensive in the beginning to map the human genome. It's now relatively a cheap process, only costing a few $100s to do. They want to do the same thing with this technology. They want to be able to write to DNA strands for a couple of dollars. Wow. Because if you can do that, then you can actually roll it out as a manufacturable technology. So that's basically what this article is about. Again, we'll have the link to the article, but you have to be aware that in this case, when you deal with encryption, if you have something that, quite frankly, this technology would antiquate cryptocurrency in its current form.
And that's how it's all linked to the Bitcoin.
This is how it's linked to Bitcoin.
Wow. If
someone currently has some elaborate setup with DNA computing being researched, you can imagine if you had billions of dollars into something like this, you conceivably could have already cracked several codes with this technology, although cryptocurrency is being advertised as the future for technology. And this is another interesting article, just kind of extending from the last one. Firestorm brewing as scientists work to create synthetic human DNA. And like the previous article, when we mentioned that the Human Genome Project took 13 years and $3 billion to complete, scientists are looking to make the cost of making synthetic DNA much cheaper, down to pennies, okay? And basically this article talks about synthetic DNA, synthesizing DNA, taking the synthetic DNA and inserting it into mammals, but making it so that it won't be rejected by the mammal's DNA and immune system. They talk about the implications of being able to have basically biological systems accept synthesized DNA, and how synthesized DNA could be a good thing when it comes to treatments, medical treatments. it's always mentioned as it could be a good thing.
Well, that's how they have to sell it to people. It's by saying, oh, it's a revolutionary new cure or advances in science and technology, because the only reason why we're making this is so that we can help people. But there's always some kind of agenda underneath it that they won't tell you about.
And the article continues. You can read it, but the article continues talking about how the key is to have living biological systems accept the synthetic strands of DNA. And these new synthetic strands, basically, if they combined with the current biological systems DNA, would create new unique proteins. And these proteins can be harvested for all kinds of different applications in drugs and pharmaceuticals and things like that. So basically, these scientists, they are playing God, but they want to use the information dense platform of the DNA. That's how they see it. This is God's amazing handiwork here. But they want to twist it, pervert it, engineer it so that it performs specific functions to their use. And the two biggest ones right now are computing, increased processing speed, and basically black hole data capability. And the second one is using synthetic DNA to create unique forms of proteins that have never been seen on this planet before, and find what these proteins can do. So, interesting times that we're headed for.
Well, I think what we're seeing here, folks, is what was written about in the book of Daniel. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
Absolutely.
Well, it's such a powerful tool to have Scripture to really come off the pages and tell you about what's going on in the world right now. And we're just going to keep doing our best to draw those lines together for people and say, this is what this might mean, and but for now, we hope that you enjoyed this week's show.
Yes.
And, join us next week. And like I said, we're going to get out our special report. I'm not sure what the next one's going to be. They're kind of spontaneous. T and I are very, very busy people. We run businesses and we have all kinds of stuff going on. So this show is like our labor of love. Yeah. Off to the side that we do to just stay in touch with everybody. And we ask you please to stay in touch with us. Keep those comments coming. Please visit our website, realspeaks.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check us out on Podbean. We have a podcast of this in an MP3 format that we put up every week as well. So you can download the MP3 to your phone and listen to us in the car or something like that if you'd like. And we do want to just bring one thing. The way that we're able to survive and keep doing these shows is we've got some fantastic products to offer you. And one of our products is an information product. It's something called Forbidden Technology. Tavon and I wrote a book, and it is all about a lot of these things that we were talking about in the latter part of our show as far as this new advanced technology, manipulating DNA, genetically modified food. But also a lot of topics about free energy as well, being a targeted individual, government PSYOP programs. It's all of our knowledge that we've gained. We threw it all into this one book. We have it in printed copy. We have it in an ebook format. And we made it an audio book. And we also put it together into a video course, a 10-module video course. So if we please encourage you to go check that out. We're going to play you a short commercial at the end of this so you can see more about the book and where to go and get it.
Absolutely.
And any purchases that you make or you spread and share with your friends, that helps to keep us going. So thanks so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
And we'll see you next week on
Real Speaks.
Hi, this is Tavon
and Naima, creators of Forbidden Tech,
the complete guide to energy, social, and biological technologies that they did not want you to know about.
If you're looking for solutions that can help protect you and your family from the harmful effects of man-made, hidden technologies that are destroying our environment, or
you are concerned about the consequences of things like geoengineering, chemtrails, GMOs, and RFID chips, or
you feel like you've been a target, have been stalked, or you're a whistleblower, or have been blacklisted or persecuted, or
you, your business, or your children have been victims of online bullying, defamation, and cyber terrorism, or
You want to know why we do not already have advanced technologies that can help improve our lives, or
you do not trust your government or Big Brother and feel like our society has turned into a 1984 novel, or
you believe that some of the conspiracy theories out there are actually true, and you want to have the facts or patents needed to back that up in front of your friends who all think you're crazy.
Then we created this book and course just for you. We've had first-hand experience with things like electronic harassment, energy weapons, chemtrail-related illness, RFID chips, and Gestapo-style suppression tactics. We've done radio shows, interviews, lectures, documentaries, and many other things in our field.
We have become passionate about the need for average people to take control of their own health, environments, and relationships when it comes to technologies that they might not even know exist, and to stop falling for the smoke and mirrors world of media lies and propaganda that hoodwinks people out of their own money, health, and well-being just because of their ignorance.
We realized that we loved teaching and sharing our knowledge and experience, and since we've started, we've helped scores of people to understand how forbidden technologies may be causing a lot of the problems that they are experiencing in their lives, and most importantly, we've helped them find solutions to overcome these problems just by applying some awareness, common sense, and a few simple tools. With this book and course, we've taken everything we've found and compiled it into one basic, easy to understand body of work. Among the many topics covered in this book, you'll learn about free energy, patents, political scandals, murders and cover-ups, engineering basics, cars that run on water, surveillance, gang stalking, energy weapons, and viable solutions to protecting yourself against them. We've cut out all the fluff and brought you right to the heart of the matter.
So you might be wondering what any of these things might have to do with you, right? This book is a roadmap that can help you navigate through some very common but under-recognized problems that many of us deal with today.
You see, if you live on this planet, you're affected by technology. We all use energy every day. We all breathe the chemicals in the air and eat them in our food. We're all part of a society that has been using covert operations on its citizens. A lot of these technologies have been making us sick or destroying our peace of mind. There are solutions for these problems, and this book can help you find them.
The Forbidden Tech book and course cuts through the lies and propaganda, which ultimately just serve as distractions from the main objectives that you should be focused on, which are once again, understanding what forbidden technology is being used and what you can do to protect yourself and your family.
In fact, we feel this information is so important that we've decided to give away a condensed version of the book in an instant access digital download, just so you can see for yourself how explosive some of this information is. All we ask is for your email address by clicking on the link below this video, and we will send our Forbidden Tech download, which is a 60-page condensed version of our book, right to your inbox.
So please click the link below.